Times yours, Pak Ipe, silakan. Nihongo mo Daijobu, Chan. Big applause untuk Pak Ipe dulu. Oke, biar hangat suasana kita.
Ini Pak Ipe ini ada.
Ya, terima kasih banyak.
Oke.
Ya, bisa. Ya. Tapi saya tidak bisa berbahasa bahasa Indonesia.
Jepang aja.
Technical topic. So, saya punya interpreter if you have this. Ya. Saya kerja untuk for Indonesia for about 7 tahun. Sudah 7 tahun. Tapi tinggal di sini 3 tahun. Saya sedikit ya berbaca bahasa Indonesia sedikit. Thank you very much, and I'm very happy to be part of Indonesian history. Thank you for mentioning this and then raising this important agenda at the DPD. I have a PPTs, but I try to include par excellence points in my presentations. In the ILO, whenever we present our recommendations, we always refer to the Social Security Minimum Standards Conventions of the ILO. That was adopted in 1952. Indonesia hasn't ratified, but I will provide a recommendation analysis according to this Convention 102. It has 9 social security branches that any country should include in the social security system, including medical care, sickness benefits, unemployment benefit, old age benefit, employment injury, child or family benefit, maternity benefits, disability benefits, survivors benefits. Indonesia has a JKN for medical care, a JKP for unemployment, and a Jaminan pension for old age and also disability pension, survivors pension, and a PKH for child family benefit. It is important to note that the scheme highlighted in red, we consider social security, social assistance benefit as part of a social security minimum standard convention. I will come back to the point why we don't consider JHT or JKM later. Under the labor law number 13, 2003, we have manfaat istirahat sakit dan hamil, but we do not consider these schemes as social security because I will come back to that why. These are the common feature of social security, social assistance benefits. Benefit need to be paid periodically, not lump sum, not one time. And benefits payments need to be continued until die or until they recover. And benefits need to be provided by the states, can be BPJS, public entity, but not by employers directly. Like Pesangon, it's not social security. Financed by a ULAM or APBN, whichever is fine. This is a common rule and features in the social security minimum standards. Let me talk about some example in Indonesia. Indonesia has JKK. When people get injured in the workplace during working hours, they get a lump sum payment according to the formula on the right. However, the Convention 102 requires the periodic payments, not the lump sum. And it needs to be paid until they recover, but in the case of permanent disability, until they die, because it will not recover. So this is a gap, policy gap today in Indonesia, for example. Similarly, when people die in the workplace, their children, their wife can receive the benefit. But it's provided in the formula on the right-hand side. It's scholarship for children, and then other lump sum benefit. But again, it's lump sum. But the Social Security International Minimum Standard requires 40% of previous wage of the member who died. So it's not a lump sum. It needs to be paid until the wife gets married again, become another dependent, or children become adult to become the new BPJS members. as a worker. So these are the requirements and some policy gaps in the case of Indonesia. This is just one example, yeah. Manfaat istirahat hamil, maternity leave benefits, it's provided under KAI law, revised law number 13, 2003. But it's provided by employers directly. So it needs to be provided by BPJS according to the Social Security standards, for example. So if I recommend Indonesia, I would include this in the new SJSN law. Why the convention doesn't consider Jaminan Hari Tua? Because of this difference. The convention requires 40% of members' wage or income until they die. JHT provides the formula based on the saving amount they have in their accounts plus interest rates, and then lifetime. But it needs to be provided lifetime. But JHT provide one-time benefit, and they need to be periodic but not lump sum. So these are some of just examples, but I would like to explain how the Indonesian social security or social assistance system in the era of golden Indonesia emas. How, if Indonesia follow at least have the social security minimum standard benefits, what it would look like in the future. This is artificial, but this is a full comprehensive overview of the system according to international social security minimum standard. Indonesia already has a JKN, okay. Long-term care, it's not part of a social security minimum standards, but you may want to consider in the future, and many countries do this. And for old age benefits, we propose to actually Ministry of Finance as part of PDUSK discussion to create a Jaminan Pension Nasional. It's similar to Jaminan Kesehatan Nasional, but that is for pension, old age pension for all citizens, including PU, BPU, and BU, that's including housewives, house husband, all workers and people. So all citizens in Indonesia will receive at least 500,000 rupiah from Jaminan Pension Nasional if they become age 65 and above from this scheme, no matter what income they have in the working age. This scheme will also provide the disability benefit if they get injured outside the workplace for all citizens during a trip, as Pak Rekso mentioned. These schemes can pay benefit. And if workers or breadwinners die outside the workplace, Jaminan Pension Nasional can provide the survivor's benefit for widowers, orphans, according to the formula that I presented, 40% of their wage. And if you work in the company as a PU, additionally, Jaminan Pension will provide additional benefits. So people will still have incentive to work in a kantor or work for the company. They don't have flexibility in work time, but they will have additional benefits. So Indonesia can formalize the employment as well. Another one, during the working age, we need to provide two additional benefits. Jaminan Istirahat Hamil, maternity leave benefit. Jaminan Istirahat Sakit, sickness cash benefit. Currently under the labor law number 13. It can be converted to contribution rates and integrated as part of BPJS Ketenagakerjaan. I will come back to the cost. We calculated all the costs as well. And if you get injured, you will receive from JPN, JP, or JKK. That's our vision. So this is a summary. In the future, JKN, JPN should be mandatory for all citizens. So these two schemes will be the core pillar of the social security, social assistance system in any countries. So we propose this scheme will be core. So these two schemes will protect all citizens at the minimum. JPN will provide old age, disability, and survivors benefits. Wherever they get injured, wherever they die, these schemes will protect. And then all citizens become old, they will receive JPN. If they work in the companies, they will have additional benefit. JP, Jaminan Pension, JKP, and JIH, JIS, Jaminan Istirahat Sakit, and JKK. And we made JKM voluntary. I will come back to that why. And the JKK is also voluntary usually in many countries. And JP, JKB, JIH, JIS are not applicable for BPU in many cases, and BU usually. The grading colors, I put slightly light colors some parts. This is the current gap. For example, Jaminan Pension has a mandatory coverage of large medium enterprises today by PP 2015 number 46, if I remember correctly. But it needs to be extended to all, mandatory coverage needs to be extended to all companies, including kecil and micro enterprises gradually. It cannot be suddenly, but it can be gradually. So that eventually Indonesian can cover all PU workers by these schemes, plus additionally JPN, JKN. So, but what are the benefits? These are the benefit formulas according to the Social Security Minimum Standards ILO Convention. And highlighted in colors need to be revised or considered to improve. The text not highlighted can be kept as it is in our view. For example, a Jaminan Pension can be the same, formula can be the same, but actuarial calculation recommend to increase contribution. New JPN program will pay 1 juta for every citizens every month if BPJS can collect 300,000 rupiah every month from all citizens. You may think it's not possible for BPU to pay this, housewife to pay this. We have a solution. This model actually comes from Japan, Jaminan Pension National. We have many other countries, like Timor, Brunei, doesn't collect contribution, but they just use tax APBN only. But Japan collects additional contribution and half subsidized by APBN, so it's mixed. The reason why we proposed this to KMQ, and they were interested in this. What happens if BPU cannot pay contribution, 300 rupiah per month? They can always come to BPJS office every month to say, we cannot pay contribution this month. And then, okay, BPJS will just add the credits of the government only. So government artificially contribute half the pension amount in the future if they report. If they don't report, the government credit will not be accumulated. This operational flows will create people's behaviors proactively report to the office regularly so that they can accumulate the future pension amount. And this will also reduce the burdens of the state in the future because it's a mix of contributions. So it's slightly different concept from PBE JKN because PBE JKN, the government proactively targets the poor people. But in these schemes, people need to target themselves and then report to the BPJS. So that will change the behavior of Indonesian people rather than waiting for the subsidies, but they can proactively report to the BPJS office. So people may feel more ownership of the system in this way. Yeah, these are the more detailed benefit formula, but I may skip that. But this may interest you more. Actually, then how much does it cost if Indonesia adopts all these minimum standards benefits of the ILO? Can you please look at the bottom right? That is the total amount of contribution. In the bracket, that is the total amount of contribution that the employers, workers, and the governments are currently paying today. In the bracket. And then the amount above, 14 to 16%, this is the amount we calculated with our actuaries using a real BPJS data. We obtained the data from BPJS and worked together and calculated all the different schemes' contribution rates. If Indonesia adopts minimum standard benefits, how much it will cost? So we identified the cost of the new system would be more or less the same as what the Indonesian people are currently paying. So it's just a matter of reallocating the contribution rates from one to the others. Then Indonesia can achieve the minimum standard levels without additional contribution in the short term. You may notice we removed JHT and the JKM contributions. The reason behind is that, first of all, it can be additional benefits, but it's quite a big burden for the people to pay if it's mandatory compared to what they can get. So to facilitate the social dialogues between workers, employers, and the government, it may be more realistic, feasible, to make JHT and JKM voluntary in the future, but workers, employers, and people will have to pay the other benefits of other insurance premiums. In this way, possibly the social dialogues can find the common ground to reallocate contribution rate. If we want to keep JHT, JKM mandatory, we need to add 6% more to achieve this system. This is the very last slide. For BPU, this will be the contribution amount every month, 340,000. But again, they can always report to the BPJS office proactively if they cannot pay contribution this month. But they don't have an incentive to do it every month if they have income, because their future pension will be cut by half. But if they report, their pension will be paid in the future by this APBN. So they will not lose the benefits because of poverty, but more incentive schemes. This is very last slides. We have a full report for each analysis I presented, more in detail. So if you're interested, I'm more than happy to have an individual meeting anytime in your office in other occasions. I hope I covered some of the 9 topics today, and thank you very much, and I'll be happy to respond to more specific questions, comments later. Thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak.
Oke, terima kasih Ipe Sang. Please give applause to Ipe for the comprehensive presentation.